Hey, my name's Ostrom. Thanks for checking out another one of my videos. Today we're going to be working on a Kerdi shower, and I'm going to float the shower pan to get ready for the Kerdi. There's basically two types of installation you can do with the Kerdi. You can either get one of their pre-made pans, which this would actually work for, but a lot of times you don't end up with the drain right in the center, or you know, I just like the mortar bed pans a little bit better. It feels more solid to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to float the mortar bed for the Kerdi system. So we got our Kerdi board up on the walls. We got my Kerdi drain. We have a 2-inch stub out. If you come a little closer, you can see our 2-inch stub out with the P-trap right underneath it. So what I need to do first thing is get the right height for the drain for my mortar bed. So what I'm going to do is take our plug out that we have. And to get this to the right height, you can see where it is right now, it's up way too high. I like to be about 1 inch between the flange and the subfloor, the plywood. So if you're going to plan on doing these Kerdis, this is one of the best tools you can get for doing that. It's an inside cutter. As you can see, there's no way for me to get a hacksaw or a sawzall down here, but I have an inside cutter that I can cut it from the inside. So I've found out that if you cut 2 inches below the subfloor to the top of your stub out, that'll be the right height for 1 inch.
Alright, so now we're ready to start mixing our mud. What I have is some pre-mixed deck mud that we use. I like using the pre-mix because you don't have to dry mix it, but basically it's a 4-to-1 sand to cement mix. Otherwise you'd have to dump sand in, you'd have to dump your cement, mix that up dry, and then remix it. I like the bag mud. They do have hand mixers that you can attach to your drill and mix everything in a bucket, but for this amount, if you got a mud box or a wheelbarrow, it works pretty good. So we're just going to dump all the bags in here. We're going to add the right amount of water. Typical amount is about a ½ gallon per 50-pound bag, but everybody likes their mud, their own consistency, so we adjust the water a little bit to make it you know, where we want it. But basically you just want enough water so it'll pack together. You don't want it real wet like a brick mortar, but you want it dry, kind of like a sand castle. So we'll get the mud in the box and get some water on it and start chopping it up. Okay, so now that we've got our mud mix up here, I'm starting to lay it down. What's underneath this mud is we have plastic sheeting, just a black plastic sheeting, and our wire that's in here stapled down. So that's an important step. You got to get the wire and the plastic. Plastic's important because you don't want the mud to be sticking to the plywood, and you don't want the plywood to suck all the moisture out of your mud. So you need some kind of barrier. It's not waterproofing, but it needs to be something that won't absorb water. So you can use craft paper, plastic, whatever will work. That'll be a barrier between your mud and the plywood. So we got our wire all fastened down. I got my drain in. You can see here I've packed. This is an important step, to pack your mud up under the drain. Some of the Kerdi videos show them actually putting the drain down into a bed of mud. I don't really care for that step. I would rather just pack mud in all underneath it. So that's all packed in. Again, remember we made this 1 inch off of the subfloor. So what I need to do here is get the correct slope. So we're 1/4 inch per foot is the slope we need. So if this is 1 inch off the subfloor, back in my corner here, if this 2.5, I'll go 3 feet just to be generous, because it's always better to have a little more slope than not enough. I'll go 3/4 inch higher at the farthest point. So for 1 inch here, we're 1 3/4 there. So the way I can check it is I just make a spot. You can see I put my straight edge up here, and then I just check it, get my bubble to level, and I have 3/4. So I know I have 3/4 inch of fall from there to here, which is 1/4 inch per foot, which is plenty of slope. So now that I got this point, that point right there in the corner, I'm going to make all of my mud level around the perimeter off of that point. So now that the whole perimeter will be
the same level as this point here. Okay, so we're working off of this point. I got this portion of deck mud level, so I'll be able to screed off that. Now I'm just tamping my mud down with the rubber mallet because I'm going off of this point, remember? So now I got a level screed here. I'll finish it up on this end here. It was a little high. A little too much mud in there. Tamp it down to level. So now I'm level across the back. That'll be a screed point that I can screed off with. Alright, so now I got the whole perimeter level so that I can screed off of that. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of moving the mud around to get it kind of where I want it. Not packing it down, just kind of moving it around. And what I like to do is get a couple screed lines going off of the level here too. So I'll just tamp this down. Down. Now I can start shaping it a little bit. Now what I'll do is I'll start packing it down, tamp it down real good. You want a nice solid pack. This is what gives it its strength. Down real good. Now I can start shaving it using my perimeter screed as a guide. Just go nice and easy, shaving the mud, getting it close, and you can use, if you're more comfortable, you can use your screed. Just kind of drag it using that perimeter edge as a guide. Now I'll do this to the other side, and then we'll just work our way around. Okay. Alright, so I did this little triangle first, and then I did this one, then I did this one. You can see I just have this to pack down and screed off. You can see I still have my nice screed edge along the edge, so that I have something to go off of. And when I do these short runs, instead of using one of these straight edges or a stick or whatever you want to use to screed the rest of it, I'll just use my trowels. This here is just a magnesium float, and this one here is actually a foam. It's a styrofoam float. You can use a wood float, which they call a derby, to pack down, but I like the combination of these two. And one of my other guys has my wood float, so I don't have it, so I'm doing best with what I have. I don't do a whole lot of installing in the field anymore, so Steve is pretty much taking most of my tools here and there, and I usually don't know what I'm missing until I get out to the job site. Yeah, you can see I'm just packing everything down here, and I'll just use my trowel just to screed off. You can
can see I'm not going past my level screen. Every once in a while you can clear it off like that. Make sure you know where you are. Yeah, I'm just screeding off of here. Get the rest of the mud off. Feathering it in. See, it'll take a little bit of mud off at a time. If you get a little hole you need to fill, just put a little more deck in there, tamp it down, tamp it around. Do the same thing to this side over here. Just taking a little bit off at a time. Don't dig your trowel in real deep. Just try to shave a little layer off at a time, and it'll work a lot better for you. Okay. Like I said, I usually use a finishing trowel, which is just a regular flat trowel. But again, I don't have all my tools, but I got this taping knife. I actually like using these. I use this one a lot when I'm doing my Kerdi. I use this for doing all my Kerdi band. I'll use this, you know, when I'm putting the Kerdi on the floor. I'll use this 6-inch knife a lot to get any air bubbles out. So, but basically I'm just going to kind of finish the float off. I'm just going to give it a nice little finish. This will pack any little loose sand granules down into the float, so it's nice and smooth, like butter. You can see. That way, if it gets stepped on or whatever tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow, you know, it won't slough off as much. And also, when you're doing your Kerdi, I don't like sand getting underneath the Kerdi because the Kerdi is so thin. You know, any larger grains of sand could puncture through the Kerdi, so I like to get it really smooth. Doing this makes the surface a lot stronger of the deck. Alright, so that deck float's ready for the Kerdi to go on top of it. If you did want, you know, you could probably let this sit. It's a hot day today. You can probably let this sit and, you know, for an hour or two, and then mix your thin set real loose, and you could probably put your Kerdi down on it in the same day. When we did the other style, when we had the, you know, I was talking your second layer of mud and tile goes directly on the mud float, we would set it in the same day because it'll start to set up. It'll still be fresh, but you could set right over it. So I don't see why you couldn't, you know, put the Kerdi on in the same day. We're about done for the day anyway, so we're not going to bother with it. We'll just do it tomorrow. But yeah, it's going to be all ready for Kerdi. I'll take the blue tape off, and we'll be ready to get going on it tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll put all the Kerdi band on. We'll get the shower pan Kerdi on there, finish out the curb, and be all ready. So that's it. Hope that helped. You got any questions, let me know. Peace.